And it's our top story for you this Thursday. The Eastern Cape is marking a day of mourning for the victims of the devastating floods that left a trail of destruction in parts of the province. At least 92 people have died, over 4,000 are displaced, and scores of people are still missing in the wake of last week's heavy rains. A memorial service for the flood victims will be held at the King Sabatha Dalindyebo TVET College in Mthatha. That's where we find our senior reporter, Griselda Lewis, who joins us now live. And Griselda, of course, as we continue taking stock of the toll that these floods have had on that province, families have to now start this unenviable process of bidding them farewell.
Well, that's right, Ayanda, as we also expect the death toll to rise this morning. The COCTA MEC here in the Eastern Cape confirming that the death toll stands at 92, but the expectation is that it will continue to rise as the rescue teams as well as the recovery teams continue to scour through the debris, trying to find some of the people that are still recorded as missing or unaccounted for. So while families have found their loved ones and were able to identify them at the forensics, other families will be attending today's memorial service or day of mourning, not having found their loved ones. You know, many of them that we've spoken to, all they want is some closure. All they want is for the bodies of their loved ones to be found. But I think what really does give them hope at this stage and faith is that the rescue teams continue with their operations. They'll continue this morning after suspending their operations late last night, of course, due to the poor lighting. And they'll resume this morning. Late yesterday, the body of a female was found in Highbury here in Mthatha. But no surprise there, Ayanda, given the fact that there are still so many people that are recorded missing. We also heard from the COCTA MEC Zolile Williams a little bit earlier on this morning that there are still 5 bodies that have not been identified yet. So the provincial government is calling on families who've not spoken to their loved ones in a while, or they might established that one of their loved ones is still missing, they would need to go and check out the forensic services because there are still those 5 bodies that have not yet been identified. But indeed, Ayanda, that death toll is at 92. Let's take a listen to what the COCTA MEC Zolile Williams told SABC News a bit earlier on this morning.
The numbers are unfortunately still increasing. And we will update you with official figures as the day continues. Yesterday we reported 91 as an official figure, but late the search and rescue team indicated, and we've seen the body that was found of a little girl. And now the death toll is about 92.
Well, Ayanda, there have also been some unfortunate incidents of alleged extortion taking place in this area. You would know that a number of, aid organizations have been providing free water to the affected families to ensure their comfort, because many of them have lost everything. They've been housed in B&Bs as well as community halls. So food and water is being distributed to them by, amongst others, aid organizations who we understand, in fact, they've confirmed that they were threatened, by some of these water mafias, as they're referred to stop distributing free water because they're obviously losing out. So you have elements that have been confirmed by the provincial government that have been taking advantage of this tragedy and trying to cash in. Let's take a listen to what the MEC had to say about that.
It's unfortunate. Those are lumpens and scums of society that ignore and disregard the state we are in currently. And we have then, because the JOC operates full-time, 2 meetings per day, 9 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So we've indicated to the police commissioner around Mthatha to say there are pictures of those people. Those must be followed because we want the law to take its course. And I think around Mthatha, since the extortion started, we were able to deal with many of them. Now, if they are rising again, I think the police are, having capacity to deal with that. So that has been reported. They are following it up. And suddenly, it has now subsided because we're getting no reports about it currently.
Well, Ayanda, here at the King Sabatha Dalindyebo TVET College here in Gqigqirha in Mthatha, already preparations, final touches to the preparations are being made, as you can see here behind me. We expect maybe in the next hour some of the family members to arrive and some of the dignitaries that will be observing this day of mourning. Ayanda?
Absolutely. Griselda Lewis is part of our team at that main TVET college in Mthatha. That's where, of course, that memorial service is going to take place at around 11 o'clock today. For now, Griselda, thanks very much indeed. As mentioned earlier, we're watching the story from a number of vantage points. Our reporter, Lerato Fekisi, is also in Mthatha, where, Lerato, residents there are still counting the cost of last week's floods.
Absolutely, Ayanda. Earlier on, we got to speak to the principal of Bambanani High School, Ms. Nosipho Ngangula, who spoke of the tragedy that the school has gone through by losing 6 pupils, Ayanda, the youngest just being 6 years old and the oldest being 12 years old, and saying that every single day the children at their school are crying. They are replaying what they experienced last week, some speaking about how they saw water coming into their homes, how they then saw their loved ones or saw their fellow pupils just being pushed away by the water and eventually dying. And she was really appealing for national government to send some type of emotional support for the pupils who are really grappling, Ayanda, because you can imagine if someone as young as 6 dies so tragically and the pupils get to experience that and see it for themselves, it is obviously quite traumatic for the pupils. But also, Ayanda, what we have seen in the midst of all the chaos and all the tears, how the community of Mthatha, how the community of the Eastern Cape has come together to offer food, to offer blankets, to offer any type of support to the flood victims who are still stationed at various community halls. But also we've seen the role of the church, which has donated food and also provided some support to the victims of the flood. And I'm joined now, Ayanda, by the president of the Eastern Cape Council, Reverend Zukile Makula, to speak to us about the role of the church, primarily because today is about comforting the victims, but also, Ayanda, to speak beyond just the day of mourning. What kind of support is the church going to continue to play key role players among these communities? Reverend, we've seen in Mthatha a coming together of community members, a coming together of the church, people saying that I want to donate something to help this victim. How has that been for you as a church to see people coming together to say, as a church, we would like to help you to try and comfort and bring some sort of help to the people that are affected by the floods?
Thank you so much, Lerato, for this opportunity as the church to just share our reflections on what had happened recently, these tragic floods that have taken over and left many fatalities around our community of Mthatha. It is indeed a sad day for the people of Eastern Cape as well as South Africa at large, as you will know that people cross the boundaries. As the church, I think, as our role as called by our imperative gospel principles, it is to walk along those who are less privileged or who find themselves in situations that are traumatic. So the church and other social partners, we join together in working with the people who are affected around Mthatha and the surroundings to offer the necessary support that is needed in the form of, first of all, emotional support, to have people to lean on when they want to cry in debriefing sessions. We worked with them when they went to mortuaries to identify their families, to ensure that they have a hand that is holding them together with other partners. And most importantly, understanding that there is a need that has been created by this flood. We responded as the church collectively at different times through food, through blankets, to ensure that at least basic needs of survival, which will bring some level of comfort, even though people have been displaced and living in conditions that are not necessarily ideal for families too. However, it is our way of responding to hold hands together, bring some sort of comfort and help that is much needed for the people of Mthatha and the surroundings area.
Reverend, the trauma that the people of Mthatha are living with and will have to live with post today is immeasurable. What sort of comfort does the church then provide when the lights go down, when people have to go back to their homes, especially when you look at the role of the church within communities, that people see the church as a place of refuge and hope? Will we see perhaps the church also taking a proactive role, a leadership role, as it has done in Mthatha now during the floods, post the floods, to ensure that when everyone's back at home and people are still trying to put together the pieces, the church is there to still say that beyond this, there perhaps is life again for the victims?
Thank you indeed, Lerato. It's going to be a daunting task beyond today and many days that funerals will take place. People must get their pieces together and live on. But as you know, that the church is amongst the community. It lives in the community, it breathes, it's made of the community. So it becomes our imperative role to continue to work with the people to ensure that they get to a level of acceptance of this reality and picking up the pieces of their lives and try to move on and live. And of course, as the church, we can't do it alone. We still call for many social partners, people who are blessed beyond with material things or resources to assist in terms of rebuilding the ruins of God's people where they have been living. And of course, we appreciate the role that government has played and the swift way that they have responded. And we just call for responsible leadership once again as the people of Eastern Cape. As the resources will be coming and donations, they must be managed well and go where they are most needed. And we believe that it is the role that the church we should be playing also to ensure that the donations that are coming are really getting to the people who have been affected, so that they don't fall into the cracks. So we will continue our emotional support, pastoral role amongst the communities as we work with them towards total healing and acceptance as they rebuild their lives.
Lastly, Rev, today is the day of mourning where many people, many families are going to come here looking to the church, especially as you who will be leading the sermon or part of the prayer group. Ndifuna ubeka ngesixhosa abantu abahlukumeze kanje bathuthuzelwa kanjani ngexesha ebuhlungu kangaka ungayiphela kodwa ngesingesi?
Thank you so much, Lerato. Well, comfort comes from God. We believe God is a source of all comfort in all seasons, at all situations. Even this situation that has taken place, even though we understand God is not a God who kills, but circumstances that surround us leads people to die. But eventually, as our role as the church in terms of bringing comfort and pointing people to the ultimate source of strength, who have given them even those things that they had before, that God is still relevant and will walk with them despite their loss and pain. And it is only He who will be able to bind their wounds through the power of the Holy Spirit and the word as inscribed in His holy book, the Bible. So that is where we are standing on. Our God is a source of strength and comfort. And that's where our help will come from for all of us. And remember, Lerato, we might be talking about the families who are directly affected, but everybody is really affected by this situation. This trauma has got to even those who have not really experienced the flooding at their homes, who have not lost anything. But today we believe this service of mourning, as we call and plead to God for such occurrences to continue to be our help in times of trouble, so that we can move on as the nation together and as the province, holding hands together, bringing comfort to those who are less privileged and affected more. Thank you
so much, Rev. Well, that was the Reverend Zukile Makula, who is the president of the Eastern Cape Council of Churches, speaking about the imperative Church has played throughout these floods, providing resources, providing foods, blankets, also providing emotional and psychological support, saying that the church is within the communities. So beyond the day of mourning, which is about comforting, bringing some sort of healing or restoration emotionally to those who have lost loved ones, but beyond this, it's going to be about making sure that they go to the homes of the affected and bring them light and bring them hope to try and assist them their lives again. But like I said, our team is across the Mthatha making sure that we bring you coverage of people who have been affected by the floods, and my colleague Fundiswa is on standby with such a person. Fundiswa's over to you.
Thank you very much, Lerato, and greetings to you, Ayanda, in studio. We are in Norwood, one of the places that were severely affected by the floods, and the severity of these floods can be seen or evident behind me on the trees on the Mthatha River, as well as the trees in these households. That wall behind me on my left-hand side was also collapsed by the floods, and residents here say that since the floods hit the area, there has been no word from local authorities. That is, they were never brought any kind of assistance like blankets, because their houses were also submerged in water, and everything here they have to do themselves. They are calling on local authorities to please come to them, and we have the residents right now, one of them being Mfundo Kubukeli, who will be talking to us, explaining what exactly happened. Please come closer, Mfundo. Uthi kwenzeka ntoni wena, and bathina basemagunyeni xa nibabikela lento yenzekayo kuni?
It has been a tragic moment once again in an interval of 12 years for the Norwood residents in terms of the disaster. There has not been any help that we found from the local authorities. We had to clean our yards, and there was delay even to clean our yards because there was no water after the incident. So it's unfortunate that we have to help ourselves clean up the messes from the mess from the floods, and no assistance apart from yesterday, which human settlement from KST came for assessment of our properties, that is to assess the damages. So we don't know yet what turnaround time are they having to implement whatever or to be of assistance.
How is the situation inside your houses?
The house has been dilapidated in a bad manner, in the sense that it has been deformed. The tiles, there has been mud all over because it was underwater. It has submerged. Even the car that belongs to me had submerged in water. But since we've employed people ourselves to clean up and try to restore the place to its original state. Otherwise, the unfortunate part is when we were about to lose our mother, an 87-year-old elderly woman who is old grant pensioner, grant receiver, old grant receiver. So it was difficult to she had to go through water. She was in a manner just very close to death to escape such a moment. We thank God for that. But unfortunately, as ratepayers, there should be something that the government offers to reimburse, or rather relief funds. Because even in 2013, when this occurred, there has never been something that was given to people in terms of rehabilitate to restore their original state before the floods. So I don't know about this time, how are they going to plan to come back to people and normalize the way they used to stay. Otherwise, along the Mthatha River, Norwood side, all the houses were affected. So it's just so unfortunate, and we had to loan money from people in terms of cleaning our houses, employing people, and our walls have fallen. So somehow we don't know what to do at the moment.
Were there any casualties, Mfundo? Were there any deaths?
No, not within our establishment, and I've never heard around Norwood that there has been any death, because I think the death happened where people settled in an informal situation where they were not allowed to put their houses or to build their houses, because these houses are under town planning that we live in. So we didn't experience any death.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is one of the residents here at Norwood. Now, let's speak to one of the residents who, earlier when we spoke to him, echoed what another mother, elderly woman at Joe Slovo Park was saying about the rain. You were saying, Budwam, imvula ene apa, within the blink of an eye, in 20 minutes, all over, and we understand the landlele yenzeke ngayo.
Oh, Molen. Into engayithetha mina kahle ngalento yi-tragedy eyothusayo because laa nto leya amanzi ayenza laa nto ngo-2013 but yayibonakala uba yayimvula which was raining from Monday to i-weekend yayinetha non-stop. Lena imvula inethe nje noba 2 days and then into elandelayo yayibuhlungu kakhulu eyalapha imeko because ubhuti walapha wavuka ekuseni eyolanda into kum and then within 30 minutes sohlukene akakwazi ukuphuma nemoto apha eyadini. Then I have to kuba mna ndibuye ndize apha ndizo-assista yena and shame imeko yalapha eNowood imbi because abantu apha khange bahoywe okokuqala in terms of i-food parcels, i-blankets, uyabo, amanzi, uyabo, khange baqale bahoywe abantu balapha eNowood. And ke ngosisi wami iyingxaki because funeka abantu bayoqashela abantu baqashe i-truck bazize namanzi yonke laa nto leya if ngapha imali ayikho. So besicela mani ngendlela engake ku-assistwe ngayo because hayi shame it's painful. And le nto mna ndathi ukuyijonga it's not kuba kuthiwa yimvula, yabo, akufunekanga siqhathane as such, ayomvula leya. Le damage lena kuba kuthethwa inyani i-cause yayo ipha kwela dam uba bona balivulele njani okanye benze njani, uyabo, akho mvula ebinokhawuleza ngolaa hlobo ngendlela nje normal. So anditsho uba ndibapha ityala but ke seke kuzanywe kwenziwa umsebenzi ukujonga uba yintoni le ingxaki eyenzekileyo kude kuvulelwe amanzi ngolu hlobo. Besicela mani uncedo mani yingxaki le.
Thank you very much. That is one of the residents, Yomelela Jali. He believes that this water that submerged their houses and the roads as well as the trees here in Norwood was not rainwater, but rather water from the Mthatha Dam. As I said earlier, this is Mthatha River behind me, and he's saying that they did not get any assistance in terms of food parcels, blankets, and mattresses from the local authorities, that is King Sabatha Dalindyebo local municipality as well as the OR Tambo district municipality, responsible for disaster management teams. And he's saying that they are pleading for help from those authorities because they really need help. Ayanda?
All right, Fundisa Mtlekude is live to us there from a community in Mthatha, that's in the Eastern Cape, for that reporting, Fundisa. Thanks very much indeed. Once again, a memorial service is expected at King Sabatha Dalindyebo TVET College, also in Mthatha. We gave you an aerial view, at least a wide shot of the preparations that are currently underway. There it is again, cameras being set up. That's what we expect some of the tributes to finally be delivered in a more formalized manner, if you like. And I imagine we'll start getting a chance to finally putting names and faces to these 92 people at least who've lost their lives in the wake of the devastating flooding to have swept through the Eastern Cape last week. So stick around. Our build up to that moment will continue here on the agenda.